Chris Shiflett has taken care of some damage control on his new album, Lost at Sea. The Foo Fighters guitarist will play a special solo gig at Auckland's Whammy bar in January. We caught up with Chris just before Thanksgiving, just after watching the slasher film of the same name, something Chris knows a little bit about after making the Foo's slasher flick, Studio 666.
You know, it's funny because, having never made a movie before, I didn't know how anything went, nor do I know how to act. But as you can see in the movie,
Stop you.
but one of the things, for every look that you have, clothing wise, they would have multiple sets of that outfit.
Right.
And one of the outfits was the sweatshirt I was wearing when I got stabbed and killed and everything. Yep. And so it's got a bunch of slasher holes in the back of it.
Very
and
cool.
At the end of making the movie, they were like, well, you can have all your, here's all your clothes, just take. And so, you got multiple sets of everything that you had. And I took it all home and it just kind of got distributed throughout my house. And then at one point I noticed months later, I look at my oldest son and I'm looking at his back. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with his sweatshirt? And I realized, oh shit, he's wearing my sweatshirt from the murder scene. And it's just all slashed up all over the back. I was like, oh, well, there you go. Doesn't even know it.
Just like Dad.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, that's great. Well, I recommend the Thanksgiving slasher film. It's pretty good, actually. But I wouldn't take the kids to it. Wouldn't take the kids to it.
Yeah. Well, my kids are all grown now. So,
oh, good. Well, then take them.
They wouldn't take me to it.
I gotcha. Fair enough. Yeah. Very good. And I will get into you, but I also want to talk about guitars because I know you do your vodcast or podcast or whatever. Shredding with Shifty or what, and so I have a couple of favorite guitar players. I wanted to know mine are Mick Ronson and Randy Rhoads. So who
oh my God, dude, I fucking love you. Are you kidding?
Well, all right.
I mean, hello, yeah. Well, it's funny that you picked those two because Randy Rhoads, I was in I guess just towards the end of grade school or maybe early junior high when Randy Rhoads passed away. So Randy Rhoads was a big one.
Right.
Big. To the point that I had a t-shirt made for 8th grade that I went to the mall and you could get the decals or whatever put on there. And I had a t-shirt made that said Randy Rhoads is God.
There you go.
He was my absolute hero.
I was very lucky to work. I made a TV show in 1981 with Ozzy Osbourne, and Randy was in his band. And it's all over YouTube now. It's the only professionally shot video of Randy Rhoads playing live in the studio. It's called
Wait, what?
It's called After Hours. Yeah, look it up. It's all over the place.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I made that.
Do you have the raw footage from that by chance?
Sadly,
Where's
no.
the raw footage from that? That's what I would like to know.
Yeah, I would love to still have it, man.
Oh my God. Yeah, I've always wondered with that footage if there is footage from that of just the camera on Randy for the whole performance.
We didn't do it like that.
Oh man.
Because live.
Okay. Because it's one of the only there's just not a lot of video footage of him playing with Ozzy. It's one of the only. It might be the only good one.
Yeah.
So wow, that blows me away. And it's funny as a kid. I didn't put it together probably till later that Randy was heavily influenced, especially by his look.
Yep.
By Mick Ronson.
Right.
Big time.
Yep.
Big
Absolutely.
Time. Yeah.
Yep.
The hair, the bow tie, the vest, the Les Paul. The whole thing. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So you got to have fun making this vodcast or whatever you call it.
Yeah. I grew up in the sort of Guitar Hero era. So for me, my guitar heroes are everybody that you would expect, it's all those folks. It's the folks that came before.
Yep.
Randy Rhoads, it's the Richie Blackmore is a big one. Tony Iommi, just Keith and Ron Wood and Mick Taylor, all those cats. And then moving on, all the heavy metal dudes. I was into all that stuff.
Yeah.
Hanoi Rocks is a big one for me, guitar playing wise, the way that Andy McCoy and Nasty Suicide played together was really pretty influential. I can't leave out Chaos Ace Frehley, maybe the king of them all for me.
Right.
But over the years, other as I got a little older and started listening to like punk rock, like, you know, Bad Religion and Social D and
Yep.
those early TSOL records and all, you know, Adolescence and Agent Orange, all that stuff had a big influence on my guitar playing. Johnny Thunders was
Oh
a
yeah.
big one for me.
That'll-
Love, yeah, New York Dolls, and then all the Heartbreaker stuff.
Yep.
Um, and then um, and then just, you know, there like probably too many country pickers to mention. You
I
know,
was
there's
going to
just
say,
so
I
many.
don't hear a lot of Ace Frehley on the new record here.
Oh, it's in there. It's in there. Yeah. I'll point it out. I'm like,
Oh,
yes,
well,
I took that one from Ace.
all right,
You know
point it
what's
out.
funny? I will tell you exactly what it is. You know what I really took from Ace, but lends itself very well to country is with the way he would do that, like that pick him, and you bend down thing.
Right.
That I mean, that's like I always wondered where he got it from. Did he get that from, like, you know, did he listen to some country records in his youth? You know,
You gotta wonder. I wouldn't be
could have
surprised.
happened. Yeah.
Because if you remember, I mean, I'm older than you are, and the AM radio in the day, you know, you'd listen to the top 40 station and you'd hear, you know, Otis Redding and then the Beatles and the Stones and the Yardbirds, and then suddenly Johnny Cash would pop up. So you could hear anything.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you get exposed to all
You
that
know,
stuff.
it's funny because my version of that was MTV in its
Right.
early days.
Yeah.
Because MTV, when I was a kid, when it first came out, was like, it was all over the shop, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see like a Motley Crue video or whatever. So I would just sit there and I would watch it all fucking day.
Yep.
And by virtue of just sitting there watching all day, you're seeing The Cure and, you know, I mean, the Buggles or what, you know, just all this, you know, Violent Femmes, you know, just all this other stuff that I wasn't necessarily into, but really had a huge influence on me, not just my guitar playing, but like songwriting and just general taste. I mean, I know so much music from my youth that I wasn't necessarily into, but it was just from sitting there watching MTV all the time.
Yep. So you got a tune called "Where'd Everybody Go" on your album. I hear some kind of Stonesy guitar on that.
Big time. Yeah. That's me kind of, I'll tell you really where that song was born is I was trying to learn, you talk about favorite guitar players. I was trying to learn a Brent Mason guitar solo. And he was a country picker that, you know, played on everybody's record, you know,
Right.
forever. And I was playing and really it's like, he's like a really high speed, incredible guitar player, but I was trying to learn one of his licks and I just played it really slow. And I was like, oh shit, that could be a tune, man. Yeah, I'll just take that one little bit and repeat it and play it like half speed.
Yeah.
You know, and put some funky drums on it, and boom, we got ourselves a song. Yeah.
You do indeed. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And I see you've been covering Dead Flowers in some of your shows.
Yeah.
Have you heard the new Stones album? Do you have an opinion about it?
I listened to a couple songs off it. It sounded good. It sounded inspired. Yeah, you know, sounded like, you know, they're like I'm just such a huge Stones fan that like when I just hear those guitars and that voice, it just makes me it makes me happy.
Yeah, Mick sounds strong, I gotta say.
Yeah,
Not bad for an 80-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you also been doing let's see, you've been covering something else that I've written down here. Oh, a Waylon Jennings tune.
Yes. Yeah.
So is that the kind of show that you're going to be doing when you come to Auckland?
Well, I don't know, you know, because in Auckland it's just going to be me and my guitar with no band.
Right.
So just be me and an acoustic guitar. So I haven't really figured out what I'm going to play. I always do like to throw some covers in the set. So that might be fun. I'll tell you what, I just got in the studio with my band and we got the basic tracks for a couple cover songs. We did a very Waylon-esque version of Cowboy Song by Thin Lizzy.
Oh yeah,
the other day.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
Which took some wrench. We had to figure that out. We had to shave a lot of parts off because there's a lot of chords in that song to try to simplify it and get into that feel. But then we also did like a kind of countrified version of Hanoi Rock song too. So, and I got there's a couple other songs. So I don't know if any of that stuff's going to rear its head down there, but we'll see. It'll probably be mostly songs from my last few records, I think.
Right. Yeah, because
I love doing the acoustic shows because it's like it's such the polar opposite from what I normally do, be it with my solo band or with Foo Fighters. It's just like your song reduced to like becomes this big, and it's very intimate, and you're kind of with the crowd. And
yeah,
I don't know, it's just it becomes a very different. It almost becomes like a meet and greet with some tunes.
gotcha. Yeah, yep. They tend to get like that, and then but of course you got to sell some merch, otherwise you don't make any money.
I know. I don't think I'm going to bring any. That's the fucked up part.
That's a problem.
Just have to smuggle some in.
And you have a tune called "Carrie Midnight Texas Queen." I kind of like. Got a little
shout right on
into it, and I like it. It's kind of rockabilly feel to it.
Carrie Midnight Texas Queen, high tops and faded jeans. You were the diamond of 6th Street, one of a kind, cutting through the punk rock scene. If I could hold you one more time, I sit back and just watch you shine. Love ain't always what it's meant to be. Carrie Midnight Texas Queen.
Yeah, it's funny because I wanted that one to be that one. Just I needed to have like a classic country feel to it.
Yep.
But initially, when we recorded it, it was just like a little too nice. Just sounded a little too clean. I remember complaining to Jared. I was like, "We gotta fuck this song up somehow, like tonally. I don't know what." And and then I retracked my guitars just a little nastier, and made the drums sound a little more fucked up, and just kind of tried to take it into like it's country, but it's country rock,
Yep. You mentioned Jaron. That's Jaron Johnston. So he's your
Yes.
co-producer, sometimes co-writer. So what is he?
He is just the producer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There's no co involved.
I thought he wrote "Burn the House Down" with you.
Oh yeah, no, we wrote some songs together, but I did not. I don't consider myself to have co-produced the record.
No, I didn't mean that. Sorry.
Yeah.
What's so special about him? What do you got?
Oh man, he's great. He's such a great songwriter and a great singer and player himself, and he's just got a great sensibility of sort of like what the songs need. Like any great producer, he can see through the fluff in the song and just kind of see what it needs, and then just overall see what the record needs.
Yep.
And it's great to have somebody whose opinion you trust for when you get in those dark moments in making a record where you're second guessing yourself,
right.
Which always happens, to me at least, where you're like, I don't know if this is a fucking good idea or not, and he's like, and he's a good steady hand to sort of get you through it.
Yep. So I gotta wonder what motivates you to make these records, because I doubt it's money, because the Foos are doing all right, and you got the other stuff going on with the podcast and everything. Where do you find the time and the motivation?
Yeah, it's been hard to find the time lately, but we did record this back in 2021.
Right. Okay. So things were slower then.
Yeah, so yeah, why? It's definitely not to make money, because it always just loses money. I needed a write-off, man. I needed a tax write-off. I just like to play, and I like to write, and I like to tinker, and I like to sing, and it's just nice to have an outlet to mess around with my ideas.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've been to New Zealand many times, and I know you have.
Yeah.
So being New Zealanders love to hear other people from outside talk about why they like New Zealand so much. So I'll ask you what you got to get up to. What do you remember?
Oh man. Well, the first several times I ever went to New Zealand, I think I only went to Auckland.
Okay.
Which is a great city, and then we would go up to Piha.
Yeah.
Up there when we would go to the beach.
Yep.
And it wasn't till I must have been down there a few times before I ever started to kind of go explore the what is it, the east coast of that island, of the North Island.
Yeah.
And wow, man, was I blown away with how beautiful the beach is and the surf and everything. I surf, so I go
Yeah.
up there and go look for waves and stuff, and it's just amazing. I mean, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful place. The beach, and it's just very different, like all
Yeah.
over.
Well,
And
the beaches on the west coast of the black sand, and on the east coast of the white sand. So,
yeah,
and I'm not a surfer, so I can't tell you which one's the ones to surf. But
I mean, there's great surf on both sides, but God, man, the last couple times I've been down there, I've explored the west coast, I'm sorry, east coast more.
yeah.
And then even like, I remember one year we were down there for Thanksgiving, but we weren't in Auckland. We were either in Christchurch or Wellington.
Right.
And I don't remember which one it was, but
the Kiwis are
we were down
confused
there.
about Thanksgiving. They don't quite understand where it is, why it is, when it is. They're like, well, what's the date? And you're just like, well, it's the fourth Thursday in November. And they're like, huh?
Yeah, why? I tell you, I just ordered my turkey today from the market. I'm very excited. But yeah, I remember we just like our band and crew had our own Thanksgiving down there, and it was fabulous. And then I remember we were also there after that big crazy earthquake, and that was
Christchurch. Yeah,
rough. That was wild too. Yeah. So I guess to sum it up, I've always enjoyed visiting there. It's a beautiful place.
All right, so you're going to be playing at the Whammy Bar when you come here. It's kind of our local dive bar right in the city. It's a big good time.
Nice.
Notorious for big posts in front of everything. So you
really? It's one of those.
but the sound guy is great, so it should be all awesome.
Yeah. Well, there's only one of me, so it's you
how
position yourself. It's not like you have to be like making a choice between the front man and the drummer or whatever. Oh, I can't see the bassist now.
Yep. No, it is going to be excellent. Very good. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for spending all this time talking to me. It's been fun, and have yourself a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully better than the guy in the movie.
Let's hope. All right. Awesome, pal. Take care.
See ya. Bye-bye.